We are talking to the amazing Simpson Protocol practitioners that have told their story and their client stories in this book, Simpson Protocol from the Inside. Case studies, insights, and observations from the people who use the SP process on a daily basis. Today we're talking to Yasmin Udwadia. She's an SP certified practitioner living in Vancouver. And as a hypnotist, I greatly admire her. Hello, Yasmin.
Hi, Ines. Thank you for that. And thank you for having me here.
Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you came to the world of hypnosis?
Sure. So, Ines, I grew up in India, right? And
Mhm.
that's a very different, fertile ground for all things metaphysical, the mind-body connection, all of that. So I was always fascinated and always interested in these things. I actually trained as a graphic designer because I was always interested in art as well. But somewhere along the way, I kind of was looking for something more. And I started to explore different modalities. I learned yoga teacher training. I learned Reiki. I learned pranic healing. And then I think it was around 15 years ago, a friend asked me to just tag along to a hypnosis workshop to keep her company. I had no clue what hypnosis was all about. I had no interest either. But anyway, I went along, and as it happened, the instructor chose me to be a demonstrator. Chose me to be a volunteer and put me in the chair and proceeded to do a demonstration on me. And that was such a unique experience for me. It was the first time I'd ever experienced hypnosis. And I later realized and learned that I'm apparently a good subject. So I had all of the catalepsy and all of that. And I was so fascinated that I decided that I wanted to work and do the next level, learn more. And one thing led to another. Before I knew it, I had finished the training, I had my certification, and I started to practice initially with family and friends. Uh, and I realized what an amazing modality it is for change. We know that, right? And how
Yeah.
quickly people can benefit. So anyway, for many years, I worked mainly uh, in and around parts therapy, spirit release, and then past life regression and life between lives regression, which I was always very interested in. I did further training, specialization, and all of that. And then in COVID, I chanced upon your website and I said, oh, that looks really interesting. And I read about the Simpson protocol around that time. And so I reached out to you. I did my training with you. I was very curious to know, can this really work? How does this work? It sounded so amazing, right? And the philosophy of Simpson Protocol really resonated with me because through my work already, I trusted that the client, all of us have this innate wisdom or this higher intelligence that always knows what's best for us, that always knows how to help the client achieve their goal, whatever it is. And since I had that faith after witnessing my client experiences, it was easy for me, I think, to adapt to Simpson Protocol and to SP. So,
Oh, that's very interesting. I really like to hear where these people come from that take my class. And especially when
yeah,
they turn out as so great and then as you are, because you do the process very well. You use it for everything, including all your old work you did. You just
yes,
have it added on to SP.
yes, exactly. So when
Yeah.
I took the training initially, I was really keen to see, I wanted to test it for myself and see how effective is this? How great is this really? And so for a month, I decided to just practice wholeheartedly. So I think I didn't charge anyone for a month. I offered free sessions to my existing clients, to friends, anyone who was interested, really. And I did a lot of sessions, and I was amazed at the outcomes, the ease at which with which the work is done. And it's so great for the client because it's quick and we know all the benefits. It's quick, it's efficient, it's easy on the client.
I think it's developed into something. We used to have a few ab reactions, what people call ab reactions, are really reactions to having the feeling.
Right.
So, we don't have very many nowadays because they're very small compared to the usual screaming and crying and all that sort of thing. And it's not because I hated it or anything. I just wanted it to be easier on them when I investigated it and when I started working on that.
Right. So to me, actually, I think Simpson Protocol or SP is all about that higher wisdom, that higher intelligence. We call it the superconscious mind in our sessions,
Yeah.
but it's it refers to whatever name you want to call it by. It refers to that highest intelligence that we know we all have, right? And in SP, for me, we help our clients to tap into that, to harness it so that they can achieve their outcome, whatever that may be. And it's really amazing that you can work on literally anything you want, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It's also important. I don't need to know what the client is going through. I don't need to know what they're experiencing in the moment, in the session. I don't need to analyze. I just want the best results for the client.
In fact, the less you analyze, the better it becomes.
Yes, absolutely. And regression and other parts therapy and other modalities are all wonderful. But I think what Simpson Protocol does, it kind of brings it together for me. I still use my other techniques. I still do past life sessions or between lives, but I integrate this Simpson Protocol framework into the work that I do. And so it just makes everything else better. I think that's the simplest way I can describe it.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I'd like to, we're going to have a convention eventually here,
Hmm.
and I'd like the people to tell what they do with Simpson Protocol. Well, you just said you do everything with Simpson Protocol. So they can understand you can do anything. I just wanting you to use Simpson Protocol and Superconscious. That's it.
Correct.
I don't
Yes.
really mind what you do, but the thing is to stay with this philosophy of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's also amazing is that as a practitioner of the protocol for my clients, as I mentioned, and we all know, it's so quick, right? They
Yeah.
achieve their results so much faster than other traditional methods that used to take maybe a few more sessions. SP is quick in one session. In the first session itself, we do so much. I love that we can work on, the time in the womb as we do in the first session itself, which is a big game changer. At that foundation work itself changes things or shifts things for so many people. It's not just suggestion based work, right? It's real work that we're doing here. There's issues that are being released, reprogramming, trauma that's being released without the client feeling the pinch, feeling uh, all the
They
associated
feel it, but
emotions.
they don't feel as much as they would on anything else. I mean, when I used to do regression to cause, you definitely got reactions and you got them feeling it, you know.
Yes, yes, yes. And also there's so much more of positive emotion that they feel as well through these sessions, right?
Yeah.
At least I've noticed that they feel such deep peace, deep calm after almost every single session. They have this really good sense of well-being. And that is amazing because they report feeling so much lighter, so much clearer, so much happier, more joyful, all the positive things that we want them to feel.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Sometimes I think that hypnosis is actually a very limited work for what we do in SP. It
Yeah.
doesn't even it doesn't even describe it fully, right?
No, Well, we call this hypnosis because sort of we're supposedly hypnotists,
Yeah,
but it isn't really a hypnosis process.
it's much more. It's so much
Yeah,
more.
it's so
Yeah,
much more.
yeah.
Now, I'd like you to talk to me about some of the things you've written in the SP form, and especially this book you have on some very interesting, to say the least, sessions, and even some normal, what most people would think of as small session. They're not small to the clients ever.
No, every client comes in with something that is really bothering them, and often, we're the last resort. They've tried many other modalities or many other things, and then they decide, or they've come upon hypnosis and they say, let me give it a try. So it's really, like I said, it's amazing that we can work on so many different kinds of issues with Simpson protocol, really anything and everything. So, uh, whether it's a physical issue, it's an emotional issue, it's a issue of the mental issue, or even a spiritual outcome that the client wants. So I've had clients who wanted to just connect to themselves or connect to higher wisdom better, have guidance, connect to deceased loved ones as well, all kinds of outcomes, right?
So,
Uh,
but in normal hypnosis, they would have done only that.
exactly. In
And
one session.
we
Yeah.
add in the physical and the mental and the emotional. If it's only little, it doesn't matter.
So one of the earliest cases I did, I remember just very soon after I worked with or trained with you, I had a client who came in because he was really upset. He had suddenly developed insomnia because his wife had developed a snoring habit, and she used to snore really loudly, and he couldn't sleep. And they were newly married, so he said, I'm sleeping on the couch and it's causing an issue in my life. So we proceeded to do the protocol. And after the first session itself, he reported back to me a few days later that he was sleeping fine. He was back in his bedroom, no more issues. The wife was still snoring away, but it wasn't bothering him anymore. So, like you said, seems like a small issue, but it's so important for the client, right?
Yeah.
It's life changing for them.
So I'd say to you, why wouldn't you do some surrogate? Would she allow like ask him if he would like some surrogate this for the snoring?
Yes, that's something that is always an option, but this was way early
Wait, wait,
on,
yeah,
right?
okay,
Just
yeah,
after I trained. So
yeah.
I was just, starting out at the time. And yes, of course, we know now that surrogate work can be done if the person wants to be worked on, right?
Well, the person wants they'll say yes or no in
Exactly.
to us. So
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
And another very interesting case that I had, which I think I've mentioned or written about in the book, is I had a client who had developed a sudden and very severe fear uh, of being outdoors, of leaving her home, and they call it agoraphobia. And she was, really, really traumatized by it. She had some incident following which she developed this fear. She had panic attacks. She couldn't leave her house. She actually did not leave her house for 2 years.
yeah,
And we started with the protocol. We did the first session, and she slowly started improving. She started to leave her apartment. She went downstairs. She started to do her laundry. She started to take small steps, go outside. And in 5 sessions, she was free of her fears, her panic, and it was literally life changing for her. And along the way, what was interesting is other things came up in the sessions to be cleared, things that she didn't even, think about or realize she wanted to work on. And she then reported back to me as well that her smoking habit of 10 years had just vanished overnight. She had a real distaste for cigarettes. She just didn't want to touch a cigarette ever again.
that's wonderful.
So that was another very interesting one. And then I've had a couple of clients with fears and phobias. So they respond really well as well in these sessions. One was a fear of dogs. And this lady, actually, she's a bit older in life, and her family got a dog because the children wanted a dog, but she was petrified. She couldn't be in the same room as the dog. So she came for sessions, and within 2 sessions, her fear had subsided so much. Now, she was also very diligent about doing her self-hypnosis, which, is also fantastic. And she continued with that. Within, I think it was about 2 to 3 weeks, the dog was in her bed, and she was cuddling the dog and sleeping with the dog. And again, the family and they were so happy with the outcome, right? The result. Um, then we've had fear of moths,
Oh, that's a really odd one. They're really all the same. They're just the fear of
of
blank.
something else.
Yes.
Exactly. Fear of elevators. I had a client who hadn't stepped into an elevator for 2 years. Also, she was actually afraid of all closed spaces, and she was taking a long flight. So she wanted to do some work because she was petrified of the long journey in an enclosed aircraft. And she also had, I think, 2 sessions, and then she said, I went back into the elevator without even realizing it, without thinking about it, without, noticing. So it's really been great outcomes uh, for almost all the sessions, and really fast. Some people resolve it in as little as 1 session, but most of them, I think, in 2 to 3 sessions, they're in a way better place.
Yeah, and it is dependent on the client because the client is allowing superconscious to work on them. So if they minimize that, it takes a bit longer. And if they don't, they're a little lucky. They get nearly miracles, they think.
Yes. And I think that also it depends on uh, if they're open to doing the self-hypnosis, if they're sincere, when they're really ready for change
Yes.
and keen for change. I noticed they are the ones who heal most rapidly, whatever the issue.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the Simpson protocol. We teach everybody self-hypnosis the first stage. Now, I always wanted them to be able to take care of themselves. So in between, when they do that, they do self-hypnosis, they also do themselves, and they become very, very uh, feeling good about themselves.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's fantastic. I have personally used different methods of self-hypnosis over the years, but I love the Simpson protocol self-hypnosis method. I think it's so easy. We can go to these deeper states or expanded states just instantly.
Yeah, and it
And
depends on the client where they go, but they do well no matter what.
yeah, they go where they need to go, right?
Yeah,
and and they can resolve their issues once they get the knack or the hang of it. They can resolve their issues and do their own work.
yeah.
uh,
They come back to us if they think it's something overwhelming for them.
yes, but what I'm saying is, at least from session to session, it kind of enhances the work that we do. It makes their
Yes,
outcomes even better.
yes,
And definitely for people who have anxiety or panic attacks and such
depression.
issues, it's huge. It's a life changer for them.
Yeah,
I just love working with Simpson Protocol. So thank you for that. I haven't looked back since I learned it. There are, I just love it as a technique, as a modality. I love that we can do so much for our clients. I love for myself that it's so flexible and it's so adaptable. And as I mentioned, I use it as a framework for all the work that I do. And it's a holistic approach, right? It's a
yeah,
transpersonal approach. It involves the body, the mind, and the spirit or soul.
yeah.
And
In the first session, I mean, normal people don't know this because they don't know hypnosis. They come to us in the first, some of them are brand new and they
mhm,
do it and they think this is a hypnosis. But if you look at that supposed script, which isn't really a script, You see, we address most of the things that are, we just in a few minutes they're taken care of.
Absolutely, right? So one past life is usually addressed in one session. And
Yeah,
here in 5 minutes, sometimes we're addressing multiple past lives and, younger ages where the client may have repeated a pattern or
yeah.
re-experienced something.
It's all up to the client. So if they go to past lives, that's just normal. They go to past lives. You do treat all future lives even the same way.
Yes, future ages also. I've had clients who've
Yes.
seen themselves at an older age, right, in the same life.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's parts work, it's regression work, it's everything combined in a nutshell and done so effortlessly and so easily.
And you're so good at
Oh, thank you. I learned from the best. So
it.
my training was online too, right?
Yeah.
And I've started doing all my sessions online practically, unless there's a reason someone wants to come in. But most of my work is online, and it's absolutely amazing. It makes no difference, as you know.
Yep.
The sessions go just as well online.
It makes it easier for everyone.
None of the commuting and the traffic nightmares, right? Like I said, my training was online. I think it was one of the first few trainings that you did online,
Yeah,
actually.
I did. That
So
was different. It changed my whole life. My perception changed. Everything changed.
yes, so because I trained on with an online training, that itself gave me the confidence and the knowing that it works and it makes no difference. There is another interesting session that I did. I used surrogacy actually for a client who has Parkinson's.
Yeah,
And that's, I think, another area that has so much potential. I know there are some practitioners who are, focusing on that and working with surrogacy more. Um, and this client, he's a little older. He's got coordination issues. He's anxious. He's depressed. Um, we've done, I think, 2 or 3 sessions so far, and he's already feeling calmer, less irritable, less grouchy. So his family is happy, and they've also reported that they feel his coordination is improving. So this is a work in progress. It's a may sound like a small outcome, but again, it's very big for the person who's undergoing this himself, right? And for
I
the
agree.
caregivers and the family.
Every small little step you gain is very big to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So I think really the potential of this work is immense.
it's going wherever it'll go. It'll evolve some more. It'll just be very exciting along the way.